So what would you like to talk about today? Have you done any prep at all? Because I've done nothing.
I've done no homework whatsoever, but I'm actually getting quite good at winging things.
So what are we going to talk about today?
As you say, we've done absolutely no prep for this whatsoever.
They're really well thought out.
They're
and
very well thought out, and the execution is
and editing has been
exceptional.
such a joy.
It's
So
we don't start off every single thing. What are we going to talk about?
Like Pinky in the Brain.
Yeah.
So the next episode,
we'll do some homework on that.
No.
We always do homework. Sorry.
No, sorry. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull you up on that because every time you say I'm going to do something for this, and then you turn up just with your folder and nothing else. No questions, no research. You turn up and you wing it, and you do really well. And you're horrible because I do all the research all the time.
It's a bit like work as well. He's just showing up into this meeting and he's going to wing it. Oh my God.
I see a theme in your life.
Yeah, I know.
It's because of your cusp star sign.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's entirely science.
So we'll kick off with what you just presented to me when I walked into the door. And
look, beautiful
look at my bow. Look at this. Look what I got. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's a jackalope, I believe.
Yeah. Jesus, hang on, I'll get the info. God almighty, I'm the worst. Sorry. It's a jackalope.
It's a very nice bow.
I just love it. Like the minute I held it, I was like, oh my God, there is weight on it.
Yeah.
But it's not like terrifying.
It's a 64-inch bow. It's a traditional bow. It's a takedown. It's not ILF. It's got wooden core limbs, so you can shoot in the trad category.
It's a jackalope crystal purple, 21 inches for the riser.
Up to 21 inches, yeah.
And the limbs are jackalope JLS recurve competition black 20-pound limbs model 2024.
Very nice.
And then I got a nice little quiver.
Yeah, very impressive.
It is nice, isn't it?
And
hold some arrows.
So we need to make a string and get you some arrows and get you shooting.
Yeah, apparently there's arrows on the way.
Brilliant.
They're 30-inch though.
That's okay.
But I'm sure it'll be grand.
Yeah, if they're too long, we can trim them. That's not a problem.
I don't think they're going to be too long. I thought maybe they'd be too short. But then maybe, I don't know. We'll see how we go.
No, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, but that's my new baby. I'm going to name him as well, really sadly. I was thinking Bain. He looks like a Bain.
So we're going to touch upon this, I suppose. So this is going to be like a progressive thing as you build up your relationship with your bow.
Bain. Call him by his name.
Bain. Yeah. Bain. Okay. It's going to be the bane of your life. Yeah.
I don't know. I do need to name him. I don't know what to name him though. But I'm really looking forward to shooting him. No pressure, but I'd like to shoot him tomorrow. Thanks.
Putting him under pressure.
My God, Italian 90 was great. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, and if you want, you can shoot him.
Okay.
Just to see.
That's okay. If you trust me with him, that's okay. I'll treat him with care.
I ordered like a backpack.
Yeah.
And I ordered a little foldable stool thing because obviously with my back I need to sit.
Yeah.
And I ordered some walking poles. And then I was just like, Jesus, what else am I going to carry? Because I obviously need to bring the bow. I need to bring something for keeping scores with things.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out where to put the bow. I could just hang it around my neck, but it's something to kind of consider.
You can get very handy hooks that go on your belt, and the bow just
slots in.
It's held by the riser, by the handle. And
where would one obtain one of those?
I don't know, but I can find out. They're almost like an S hook for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And they maybe have a leather coating on them.
Yeah.
They're about maybe 2 or 3 inches wide, S hook shape, and they slot onto your belt.
Yeah.
And your bow just hangs off them. They're very handy. But as for carrying stuff around the woods as well, you don't have to go all out Rambo with stuff. Do you know what I mean?
That was my nickname when I was a kid.
So
violence. Yeah.
So we have Rambo and Bain out in the woods. Okay.
Do you see the theme of violence and just rage? Yeah. I might call him Prince because he's purple.
Oh, Bain now.
Oh, he's Bain now, is he?
That's it. You can't just switch names. I mean, it's going to be traumatized. Like,
Jesus. I know, but I can't be like, give me Bain. And people are like, what is wrong with you? So I want to, now that I have my bow,
yeah,
I want to go out and... Yeah,
absolutely. As soon as you have your bow, get your arrows, we get out there as soon as.
So what's next?
Wexford is on this weekend, and then there's a few more. I don't know what's after that. Again, Wexford, lovely course, but I won't get down to it this weekend, unfortunately.
Yeah, this weekend I have a birthday soiree.
Yeah, but it's good that we have it on I think on the group chat we put out on the chat the next shoot that's coming up. Who's coming along? Who wants to arrange a group or something like that, and just play around. Yeah. And then eventually, hopefully, as people get more confident, they'll be just able to tip out on their own and just and get to know people as well, so they have that confidence as well. And that's what it's all about. So
I'm just looking forward to just, I don't know, just having my own bow,
yeah,
leaving number 5 alone, God bless him, for his service, and just doing things properly.
yeah,
Not that I haven't been doing things properly,
yeah.
but just, I think there's a big difference in having your own stuff. God bless him. I'm obsessed with him. I found it really interesting, the one that you gave me the other day, the
The Black Hunter
Black Hunter.
longbow, yes.
Like I said it to you on the day, but I found it so interesting how sensitive that was compared to the training bow.
Okay, okay.
Like I was saying to you, I was shooting and I went too far left and I made a minuscule adjustment and I was
Yeah,
way over to the right.
yeah,
And that didn't happen with the training bow.
yeah.
So I'm just interested to see how Bain will be.
Yeah.
Bain, now I'm calling him.
And you see, they're very much they're good bows, don't get me wrong, they're fantastic bows. And my own daughter shot one for years when she was starting off. With the Black Hunter, it's a really nice light bow, but I'd set that up. I'd set the brace height on it. It's got a kind of a thinner string on it as well.
It made a great noise.
And it made a lovely noise. But they're a fantastic bow though. And that was a 25-pound bow as well. So to be fair to yourself, you come up a few pounds as well when you're shooting that. Whereas the training one you had been comfortable with was in and around 20 pounds or so. So there's a 5-pound jump, and that's going to be a big difference too.
Yeah, my shoulder felt that actually.
Yeah, so it's but the bow you have here is a 20-pound bow.
Yeah.
But like that, if we tune it properly, get the right material string with the right strand count, they're every bit as fast.
Yeah.
And because like I said, in archery, again, it's my own person, because in archery there's a lot of kind of people's own personal views. I'm saying the right or wrong. Like my own view is I much prefer comfort over performance or speed any day. I just want to. I'm a bit lazy as well.
I like a bit of both.
Yeah, but I just want to kind of enjoy it like that. So that's why the compound I'm shooting as well. It's a 35-pound compound bow. I have it wound down to that. It's a low poundage limbs. I shoot it with my fingers. I don't use a release aid. It's just great fun to me. Maybe in a couple of years' time I might decide to take it to another level, but for now I'm just enjoying it.
Do you want to talk about stringing, or do you want to do that for a different episode?
Oh, I think stringing deserves 2 episodes all on its own.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
For string?
Oh yeah. I'll bring all my different materials, string charts, and my string jig.
I have attention deficit disorder. I'm not going to make it through that. Jesus. I'll be fashioning a noose.
A Flemish twist noose.
It's a bit too dark for this. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having my bow strung for tomorrow.
Yeah. I won't have your string ready for tomorrow.
You will?
No, I won't.
How am I going to shoot tomorrow then?
I'll have an old string at home. But these things take finesse and patience, and I need to build myself up mentally as well. I don't rush into these things.
You're so mean. You can't put a substandard string on Bain now.
No way.
All joking aside, because no pressure. How long does it take you to do string?
Okay, if I was in a rush, if I was doing a Flemish twist, maybe an hour and a half. And a continuous loop, maybe a little longer, about 2 hours. But that's if I was to follow the technical kind of way of doing it. I like to take my time though.
Yeah.
I like to do a bit, come back to it. And it's one of those little things. I make them for myself, really, more than anything else, because I just enjoy making them. It's a mindfulness thing.
What is the lifespan of the strings? I suppose it depends on their use.
It depends on the use, and depends on their exposure, and it depends on, for example, rule of thumb, roughly speaking, people would say you have to change your string every year, ideally. But then there's people out there, they shoot a lot. So then it comes down to, you're looking at things like, maybe is your string starting to fray? Is your brace height dropping, which means your string starting to stretch or creep? Is it starting to get, is there like discoloration, or is there a lot of fraying in one spot of the string, which could mean that it's making contact, it's hitting your arm or something, which can actually wear out a string very quickly. So it depends, but rule of thumb, people often say, well, replace them every year if in doubt. String care as well. I mean, if you wax your string as well, help protect it against the elements. And so yeah, and then if it's raining, strings can get very heavy as well. They get wet and all that. But no, oh yeah, and look, but if in doubt, replace them. Or if there's signs of wear, or if there's broken strands, don't use them. Do
you ever have one snap while you're shooting?
Yes.
Does it hurt?
Yeah.
Like it hits you?
Yeah. I was at a shoot in Astana, about maybe 22, my God, going on 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago. I was doing it was a 3D shoot. I was shooting a category called bare bow at the time. I had a metal riser and I had bamboo core limbs, and I'd been shooting quite a lot, and I have great fun with it. And it's funny little things you learn. But I was up at a group 3, a target again, unmarked, and around I think it was. Well, I was a group 3 size target anyway, so it wasn't too far away. It was like between up to maybe 20, 35 yards. No, anywhere between 20 and 35 yards. It wasn't too far anyway. But I came to full draw. And that was grand. But just as I released, there's an immense crash, bang. And you're standing there for a while. You're actually standing there with full draw, perfect follow through. And you're holding a riser and you're just standing there and you go, something bad really happened. That didn't sound good at all. And then you're looking at your riser and that there's bits missing off it. And you're looking at there. But it's funny with your mind, you're holding this up and you're going like, that doesn't look right. There's wasn't like that a few seconds ago. And so I look around and then there's 2 limbs on the ground and the string is shredded beside it. What the hell happened there? Like, I didn't dry fire. My arrow was knocked on correctly. It wasn't a damaged arrow. But it turned out, and it's actually a common thing. It's something that people could check and something I check for now as well. In my case, the loop of the string where it goes around what we call the limb groove on the limb, that was grand, shooting for ages. And those are good strings, 8125G, tough string, very strong serving. But on the actual limb itself of the bow, there was a tiny little sharp burr. Tiniest little burr. And I've been shooting this bow for like best part of maybe 2 years. I put different strings on it and all the rest of it. But this string I'd been shooting with it for close on a year, and that little burr was just ever so slightly wearing through.
Yeah.
Now, it was no fault. I should have been checking maybe the string loop more often and things like that. But eventually, it went through the serving, cut the strands, and that's what had happened. So when I at full draw, when I released, that last little strand gave, effectively dry fired the bow. And I was looking afterwards, and at the top loop, I could see the top loop was completely severed, but also on the limb tip, you have a little kind of a bump on it. It's called a reinforced limb tip, which means that bows can shoot with a more kind of a low stretch string. So you have the limb tips, they're reinforced. I'd see that had completely disintegrated as well. Wow. So that's what had happened. It was a tiny little, so it's something, it's just one of those little things like the people that I check for now when people get a new bow. Yeah. It's just to rub my finger or their finger around where the grooves are. And it's a tiny little sharp burr there. It's not a problem. Just get a tiny bit of sandpaper, even a nail file, and just smoothing it out ever so slightly. You don't have to kind of go and with a file, but just
a tiny
just buff it out like. But a tiny little thing can cause something. And you hear things like people can get hurt. Yeah. You hear some horror stories. I was lucky, like I did feel a loud smack on my arm where the string obviously, I suppose, ricocheted. Because I don't use an arm guard. I never do.
That's because you're fancy. Yeah.
I mean, and I really smarted. Now, I didn't break skin or anything like that, but there was that. And then on another occasion, then, and again, people will say, look, when you're doing archery, this is what you check, and this is what you do, and these are the precautions you take, and they all make sense. But like in anything in life, sometimes we just go, yeah, whatever. It's only when it really happens that you go, okay, right, now I'm going to do this. So I was shooting as well. This time I was shooting a compound bow in, I think it was Mayo one time, and again, released. Now, it wasn't as catastrophic, but when I released, there was a very kind of, again, it didn't feel right. There was a loud bang, a loud kind of crack. And again, oh crap, did I just dry fire that? I said, no, I don't. I remember knocking my arrow. But it was a dry fire. And what happened was the arrow had actually been damaged. And this is why the other thing is checking your arrows as well. And what had happened was the arrow had actually, where the veins are, the arrow had actually broken there. So the arrow actually was actually broken, but it was the veins that was holding it together. So when I had knocked and released, the arrow wasn't able to take the force of the string. So the arrow just disintegrated, fell on the ground. And the bow, I like to think that the arrow took some of the force. I wouldn't like to think that I dry fired my bow, because that's not a pleasant thing for a bow. And looked at the arrow and said, that's what had happened. So like that, especially if you're shooting in the woods or if you're doing, and your arrows are hitting wood and maybe rocks and things like that, always check them.
Yeah.
Because cracks, damage occurs. And again, so flexing your arrow, rolling them, it's a very simple little check. And so that's what I do before and after every competition now. I'll check my arrows. And if in any way doubtful about them at all, I'll toss them. But yourself, what do you think you'd like to explore? Is it 3D or target archery or indoor archery? Or are you just going to go out and just have a go at all of them and see whichever one kind of
But
piques your interest?
I want to do like indoor competitions. I want to go out and just have fun.
Yeah.
I want to just explore it all. Yeah. That's really it. But I do really want to do like indoor competitions and see how good I can do.
Yeah.
Again. And you're saying not to judge, not to compare myself to other people, but that's what I want to do. With regards to that, fine. I want to be like, I want to beat that person over there. And I want to be better than that person over there. And that's what I want to do. But I want a healthy mix of fun and competition, basically.
The indoor round and the flint round, which would be typically indoor competitions under the IFAA rulebook, they're great fun. And the indoor round, it's 20 yards. And the flint round, and that's what the indoor round, that's what we had been doing with the main match. Yeah. That's your indoor round.
I don't think I did. Or did I do one?
You did one, I think. But it's grand.
I got an X on it, though. So, yeah, grand.
And then you've got the flint round, which is it's an indoor round as well, but that's fun as well because you've got different distances during the competition.
But you also change things, don't you, with that? You shape that way and then down there and then up there.
Yeah, you switch from top right to bottom left or top left to bottom at different sets. And but it's a fun competition. And what's nice is you see indoor competitions is starting to become a bit more popular now on the FF scene, whereas in the past it had been dominated by the outdoor 3D scene because it's great fun. It's fantastic fun. And what's nice about the indoor competitions is, look, there's an increased accessibility to it. They're fun. You have to, I find with myself, it requires a different mental focus as well.
Yeah.
Because you're in the woods, you shoot in 3D, and it's parked. Go on to the next one, you're actually completely forgotten about it, chatting to people. Whereas indoor, you shoot with the exact same face or for half the day, and you switch over and then back again. So and you have to maintain that focus and that kind of, and it's actually really tiring as well, but it's fun. But definitely, get out and explore them all.
This is a question about arrows, actually, because Michelle was saying that you have to label them when you're shooting outdoors and stuff.
Yes.
Does the label does it affect the weight of the arrow?
Not really, no.
It's like negligible.
Technically,
kind of
maybe it does to a certain extent. It might affect the grain weight ratio tolerance kind of difference between other arrows. And because arrows are measured, their weights are measured in grains because, and you're looking and high quality arrows, even people making timber arrows, they're trying to get that tolerance down to a minimum from arrow to arrow.
Is it grain because they used to be wood and it's wood grain?
No, I think it's to do with
cocaine.
Gunpowder, I think, or ammunition or whatever it was. Like the grain.
How many grains of gunpowder you'd need?
Well, I don't know if it's gunpowder, but it's a small.
Have to Google this afterwards.
Yeah, I'll have to Google it now. I'm sure I just know it's in grains anyway. That's what comes up in the little.
But you know
scale
everything about everything. How do
no,
you know
I don't know everything about everything. People just think that, and then the people come up to me and say, "Oh, I've got this problem, and can you help me fix it? Because you know everything about everything." I'm like,
"This is your fault."
No, I can't.
For being so accessible to people.
But if you let me near it, I'll dismantle it and then
never put it back together.
Yeah. But thanks for that, Roberta. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And so I'll just put the ego back right
there. So there's the labels.
But labels, look, people with arrows and they'll put wraps on them.
Yeah.
Or they might paint them, or they might lacquer them. They put stickers on them, different things. So all these things are going to affect the arrow and weight in a small way, but not to any great extent that's going to affect its flight to a huge extent.
Can I paint my arrows?
You can, yes.
With acrylic paint, or what kind of paint?
I use auto paint. I use some car.
Oh, right,
spray paint or modeling paint. I'll use that, and then you can get some lacquer over it as well, just to protect it. It gives it a nice sheen as well. And you can get a thing called a cresting machine, where you put your arrow in it and your arrow's spinning. And I know some people make wooden arrows. They'll put on really fantastic little bands and patterns as the arrow's spinning, but you get that consistency.
I just want purple arrows. That's it.
But don't spray over the writing on the specifications on the arrow. We have to be able to see those.
What, for competitions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because the ones that I have coming, I don't like the colour.
No, because in a competition, especially in trad,
Yeah.
the rule is the arrows have to be the same brand and make
Yeah.
specification. So if you're shooting carbon, people will have to be able to see, look, they're 500 spine arrows or 600 spine arrows. But beyond that,
so I'm buying car paint and lacquer, is what you're telling me.
That's what I use. No, and but you can get some really nice, like luminous colors. They're really nice, and just tape over the part that you don't want, and if you get a cresting machine, you can use a small brush and just put your own little markings, your own.
That's so much effort. I'm just going to dunk the thing. And
you should see the efforts that people go through when they're making timber arrows.
I know, but you know what? At the end of the day...
One chap, I won't mention, but he makes the most amazing arrows. They're beautiful. And he paints them in such a way that when you turn them, they change colour.
But then you're going to get it lost in the woods.
But he could spend 6 weeks making an arrows and might lose 3 or 4... It's the making them is the enjoyment as well.
It's his therapy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And anyway, don't think about losing arrows in the woods, okay? Look, arrows, to a certain extent, are not to be too dismissive of sustainability and the need to reduce waste. Arrows, in many ways, are consumable, okay? Because you're shooting at things and you're hitting them at things and you're bouncing off things. Eventually they'll wear out. Eventually they'll break. When you're starting off, yeah, there will be a certain level of breakage and loss. But every single time you go out, that just reduces and reduces.
You know,
and to be fair, any arrow you lose out there, most of them come back anyway. People are finding them all the time.
So they don't come back by themselves?
No, they don't.
It's a shame.
No, it'd be just creepy as well.
Do you want more coffee?
No, I'm good. I'm cool.
Essential safety rules every archer must know. Oh, we have to use the phrase.
What phrase?
The phrase.
What phrase?
I have to find it now. Do.
There's a phrase?
Yeah, it's from about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yes, that phrase.
Yeah.
It was so good that we had Maliki texted to us and we've lost it.
I'll find it now. But it's so stupid though. We're standing there and it just comes out. It's like, write that down for the podcast.
Yes, that's good stuff.
Oh God.
This is how we get our material, like, over there. Oh, hang on. Whoa. Say that again. What you just said there? I forgot.
What date was that?
No. Oh, quick, write it down. Get a pen.
What date was it though? Jesus. It's every single arrow is like starting from scratch. It doesn't seem as profound now, but it was at the time.
We're just going to have to build up the proper ambience and say it in such a way that it's delivered with the same impact and the same resonance and meaning. You
could put it in with
every single arrow, I've forgotten it now.
Every single arrow is like starting from scratch.
Roberta, every single arrow, it's like starting from scratch.
You're really creepy sometimes.
Or yeah.
So yeah, every single arrow is starting from scratch.
Is that the title of the episode?
No, it was going to be safety etiquette and the basic form and techniques. But,
okay, but how
I suppose, given like the importance of your stance and your grip and everything else, you're starting new every time, and every single arrow is like starting from scratch.
Every single arrow is like starting from scratch.
Yeah. So that's what that is.
It is.
Right.
Because every shot is different. And that's why people obviously practice to do well. But it's not so much perfecting the shot as so much about reducing a margin of error. Because there's no two shots the same.
There's not. It's so frustrating.
If you were able to attain the perfect shot, then it'd be 5, 5, 5, 5, 5 all the time because you've reached that peak. But there's people out there that shoot 500-600 arrows a day. That's fine. But it's about getting that grouping down tight and tight, because every single arrow is different. There's always going to be something, small little thing. It could be, and even if there's no distractions, it's going to be something in your head, right? Equipment or arrows or wind or anything like that. I mean, to get that kind of identical repetitive thing going, you can't. So it's about getting, like I said, reducing the margin or the boundary of error a little bit. Yes, and yeah, to take it in essence, then, regardless of how fine-tuned you get, nonetheless, it still remains that every single arrow is like starting from scratch.
Very well put, Owen. Well done.
Do you see how I led up to that?
So
He's so full of
We're talking about essential safety rules that
Sure.
every archer must know.
Essentially, that every archer must know.
One of them really annoys me.
What, that you're only allowed 5 arrows? You want to shoot all of them?
I do want to shoot all of them.
We should leave the bucket of arrows right beside you.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay,
Or have a
fine.
donkey there with some.
Yeah,
Oh, a donkey. But anyway, no, it's that I can't put earbuds in and listen to music while I shoot. Obviously, I know it's because I don't want to shoot people who might come into the room or whatever. But I really want to put on some Metallica and shoot some arrows.
Because then when we're yelling at you to stop shooting because we've seen something and you're listening to Metallica, how's that going to work? We're going to have to throw something at you.
Just float a balloon past me or something.
And you'll shoot that as well.
Or try to. 5 hours later, I'm still trying.
No, you can't listen to Metallica on the line, okay? Because you need to be able to listen to the various commands that the line captain is.
Now you're talking to me like I'm a 4-year-old. They stop that. I understand why I can't. It's a essential safety rule, which ties in with that question.
Okay.
However, it really annoys me because sometimes you just want to shoot arrows and listen to Metallica and scream.
But you can't.
I know. That's my point. Other essential safety rules that every archer must know.
The line, obviously, you can't go beyond the line when people are shooting when it's live. You've got an equipment line as well, an equipment area where when you are finished shooting, you lay down your bow behind you. You'll also wait until everybody's finished shooting or until somebody calls the line. You'll walk towards the target, running.
You can't pick up an arrow that dropped.
Yes, and I see that's like in competitions as well. Let's say an arrow drops.
Drops in front.
It drops in front, and if you're allowed to reach it with your bow and bring it back, you can. But if it's over there, leave it. Most of the time, look, if your arrow drops, leave it anyway. If you're doing a competition especially, just keep shooting. Don't go fishing for it. Because you know what, you're just going to be upsetting yourself as well. You're going to be changing your stance. You're going to be stressed. If it falls, leave it. Just take the spare one. Chances as if it fell, it's like you had a problem anyway. Maybe the knock was broken or damaged, so it slipped off the string. Who knows?
Yeah.
Forget about it. It's a casualty of war.
Yeah.
Gone. And but yeah, obviously people have to be able to hear the commands being given by the line captain. You walk up to the target, pulling arrows out of the target, something very straightforward. Again, we teach at the very beginning that when people stand either side of the arrows, because when they come out very fast, and the knock can be every bit as painful as the pointy end if it comes out very fast. Particularly kids, just be mindful there. Usually get maybe one person to pull out the arrows, and then pulling them out, it's very important not to, if the arrows are particularly tight, not to bend them too much either. Try and pull them out as straight as possible, because you don't want to break an arrow either. It's bad enough to break an arrow, but the carbon splinters from an arrow can be particularly nasty. They're not like wooden splinters. They can be very difficult to get out, if at all. So it's something to be mindful of as well. And the basic rules in terms of etiquette then as well. If you're out in the competition, again, you might have a shooting line, but you have shooting pegs. So people step up to the peg and shoot the target, and people stand behind that person and keep the chatter to at a minimum while they're shooting. In terms of etiquette as well, again, it's not necessarily an obligation, but if somebody's shooting, if you've got a pair of binoculars, a spot for them, see if their arrows go left or right. You can't you're not allowed, you can, but you shouldn't really gauge for them. Oh, look, 2 inches to the left, especially in the UAR where you're allowed 3 arrows. And but you definitely spot for them. So when they go down with their arrows, oh look, it landed in the bushes there, so we'll go look for it there. And so a lot of the etiquette comes down to just basic common courtesy more than anything else. And the safety rules, obviously, look, it really very much revolves around your line captain or the captain of the group that you're with as well, if you're going out on the street. And out on the course, things you might carry as well. One of the most essential thing is probably your whistle. And it's really bad now forgetting that the 1, 2, or 3, each of them mean a different, the sequence and duration of the blast, they have a meaning. But nonetheless, a whistle is very important to have with you out there. And on a day like this, plenty of water, plenty of hydration.
Sun cream.
Plenty of sun cream as well. But, and look, not like the previous story, checking your equipment or even have somebody maybe check it with you or for you, doesn't matter as long as it's checked. But yeah, but a lot of it really just comes down to mutual respect more than anything else.
Yeah, cop on.
And a bit of cop on. But you'd be surprised how many people don't have that. It's not, doesn't mean that they're bad or anything like that. It's just some people don't think. But if you think, but a lot of it does rely. But if you're along the lines of or thinking along from a considerative point of view of a fellow archer, you'll tick most of the boxes.
Yeah. Stance, grip, knocking an arrow, drawing a bow, aiming and release. Tell us all about them.
Stance. So we're going to go to the KSL cycle.
Apparently.
Okay, hang on. I'm just going to
Oh,
come in.
God.
This is me rustling my notes because, I'm going through my level 1.
I think it's just the
tearing
fact that
them open.
every week you have turned up with this and now you get to use it.
I get to read it.
Yay! Would you mind turn a light on because it's a little bit dark?
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's in here somewhere. The KSL shot cycle.
That's a tongue twister.
The KSL Kizikli Korean coach. And so there, I won't read it out, but basically there's a number of stances there. You've got your stance, and so that's how you stand.
And what types of stances are there?
You've got 3 main types, and your target. So you don't stand facing the target. You stand alongside. There's a line coming from the target. You stand alongside that line. And what we do is we usually start off with what we call a neutral stance. So if you can imagine a straight line, touching both your toes, and going straight towards the center of the target. That's your neutral stance.
So you're standing sideways.
You're standing sideways along an imaginary line leading towards the target. And that's a neutral stance. And that's what we start off people with. But very quickly, look, as you're working with different people, you'll try and explore different stances that are more comfortable for them. Some people prefer a closed stance where the foot furthest away from the target is slightly back away from this imaginary line by a few inches. So you've rotated your body away from the line.
Yeah.
Other people, suits an open stance where that foot is actually in front, go beyond the line, take it a little bit towards the target. And there's a whole variety of reasons why one might suit the other. It could be just nothing down to pure comfort, preference.
Yeah.
And but when it comes to different things, like for example, if people adopt a closed stance, then you're looking at more kind of maybe a clearance issue because the bow and string is closer to their body. People an open stance, there's actually more muscle and strength engagement because you've brought the center of gravity out onto the floor. So you're not aligned. It's more muscle engagement. That's fine.
Doesn't affect. I'm doing a workout while I'm doing my.
You are, yeah. Fair play. And so so that's your stance. And again, people can explore a stance different ways depending on their own personal preference or whatever. And I think like the direction of the arrow as well a little bit too. Michelle, my wife, she has a slightly closed stance, suits her better, and that's just a preference. And obviously, then your feet in line with your hips, in line with your shoulders. If you have them feet too close together, you get a kind of swaying motion because your center of gravity's much higher. If you have them too wide together, you create a kind of a hinge movement in your hips. So you want to so it's all about stability. And that's the thing about archery, is you're trying to reduce that margin of error. And the less influence you have in the shot, whether it's right from your stance right up to the release, the less influence, the more consistent that you can keep your stance and your position, your posture, your release, your follow through, the more consistent your shot's going to be.
Okay. And do you think then that's a common beginner error would be the stance?
A common beginner error I notice with people starting off is the stance is fine, it's the shuffling of their feet.
I'd still do that though.
Yeah. And they release an arrow.
Yeah.
And then they start moving their feet back and forth, shuffling again, back and again. There's no need for it. Get your stance. That's your stance. Leave it alone.
Yeah, but I do it because I'm not comfortable. And I'm trying to reposition or something. And like, especially recently, the way we've been shooting, there's been somebody in front of me, which is alien to me because I'm usually the one in front.
Okay.
So I've been trying to adapt to that because I was kind of like, oh God, get out of my way, and I want to go there. But then I was because like you had said, if you're in a competition or something like that, you have no choice.
Correct. And in competition, if you see our the backstops we have, very often in competitions, it can be you'll have a person in front of you and behind you, it can be very tight. And not only that, they might be shooting a different bow style as well. For whatever reason, they might need that wider space as well. You might be shooting trad, but they might be shooting a bow with a whole bunch of stabilizers and everything on them.
I think part of my issue as well with that positioning is I'm bigger. So I take up a lot more space. Yeah. So when there's somebody in front of me and I'm trying to position myself at the target, it's a lot of shuffling just trying to get that.
But when you're set up, when you come up to your spot and you're doing what we call your end, okay, which is your 5 or 6 arrows before you go down and you shoot them, that's your spot. You hold that. You walk up, that's my spot, there's the target, I'm in line. And because every time you move your feet, that's a whole other variable you've introduced into the cycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how small it is.
Yeah.
Get your stance. In time, you will have a stance that suits you, whether it's a slightly open one or a closed or a neutral one. You will know that's my stance, and if I rotate it by a certain degree or if my foot's an inch and a half forward, that's your stance. Set your stance, that's your stance. Shoot your end. And yeah, it can be a bit uncomfortable or daunting, like I suppose, when you're shooting line. And it's not necessarily about whether somebody's tall or short or their size or anything like that. It could be just literally the other archer as well. There's people there, like I said, they're shooting compound bows. Other people have thankfully not that often, but some people when they release, they might just swing. There's a whole wide area of influence there when it's shooting on a line where there's a lot of archers.
I did actually poke Mal in the head with my bow the other day when I was putting.
Yeah, but that was deliberate, I think. So
accidentally on purpose.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Are there any other beginner errors, do you think? Well, there's lots, but it's all learning.
It's all learning. We shouldn't call them errors.
Yes.
Mistakes.
We could be like certain
things that beginners do wrong.
We could be like a certain weight loss company who use the word sins but spell it S-Y-N-S.
Did you know the Greek meaning of the word sin?
As in S-I-N.
S-I-N.
What?
Means to miss the mark.
But this company spell it S-Y-N-S, and it's about the language. You have a certain amount of sins you can have, but apparently because it's spelled differently, it's not negative language. So anyway, that leads me on to, yes, it's still called errors. We're not sugarcoating it. It is errors.
Okay. Things,
you spell it a different way.
Things they make a mess of.
Okay, so you won't remember me when I started, but if you did, this is a stupid question because I just said it. What mistakes did I make?
Okay, I'm actually genuine here. I don't look upon them as mistakes. But anyway, because everything is just something that has to be worked on and corrected. And it's not even a mistake as such. It's just something to be improved and developed. Okay, like when somebody's moving their feet, or it's not a mistake. It's just something they need to get used to and get the hang of and adjust and get their head around and get confident in kind of maintaining a position. That's my stance. I don't need to be shuffling around the place. So it's not so much. It's not a mistake. It's it's all part of the process. The process, exactly.
So do you think that they're like every learner who comes in?
Yeah.
Pretty much does the same process
until
they learn.
They do. To varying degrees, but they do.
Yeah. So it's pretty much like you can predict.
Yeah. And you go, so we'll work on that. I don't go like, you're doing that wrong. Like all the other beginners, because they all do the same thing when they start, they're doing that wrong.
They get the punishment stick and whip them.
And then we get out the measuring stick. That's really just for measuring the length of your arrow. But yeah, we beat people with that because it's aluminium. But
it's a little known fact about the club.
I know. That's why. But no, and that's not trying to be any. I'm not. It's not trying to be magnanimous or anything like that. Because look, you have to enjoy it as well. And that's part of the enjoyment as well. It's like helping somebody explore that and develop that. And it's nice to see the penny drop, a bit of realization come into it and go, all right, fair enough. And you go, yeah, oh, I know that it's nice. And like that, even again, a common thing would be maybe either gripping the bow too tight, which can result in
things. It's not a visual field, they can't see you.
I'm at full draw for the benefit of our listeners. Executing perfect form, but I'm in Roberta's living room, so I don't have a bow with an arrow because I can't shoot stuff. And but now my train of thought is gone. I had a train of thought that was at full draw. Thanks a bunch. So I have to. So it's like when people have beginners, like they're gripping the bow and they're gripping the riser, and that results in a thing called torquing, where you can be either turning the bow left or right.
I am so guilty of that still.
Yeah, everybody is, and so that your arrow goes left or right. Then they're full draw and they might release and the hand might jerk up slightly or jerk down a bit so that you've got that elevation thing going on. The biggest thing I think with all beginners, myself as well, starting off is always, I won't say it's a weak point, but it's always a focus point is their anchor. That's the area of kind of criticality, I think. Everything else, I think with everything else, it's just a question of people getting their head around. But the anchor is something that people really need to work on to try and get a nice, good, solid anchor. Because And you see, even people who are shooting quite regularly, you might see when they release, they might do a thing called follow. They follow the arrow or throw the arrow, where their hand moves with the arrow ever so slightly, or they might have a static release where the hand is just stays still.
Mine seems to do that.
And it doesn't necessarily make for a poor shot or a poor execution. Everybody's different, but to follow the cycle and to try and get things down to a kind of a consistent kind of a path or a consistent kind of process, step by step. And these are little things that beginners, it's more than, and because they're trying to juggle not 5 or 6, 10 or 15 things at once, you find some people get a little bit overwhelmed because they're trying to.
And sometimes you just have a brain fart because your brain decides that's not really important for it right now.
Exactly.
I actually changed my anchor point there on Saturday.
Yeah.
Because the other one just wasn't. I think I was back here.
And where do you anchor now?
I've changed it here. But I know that can change because of that. Like, again, not visual field. I'm anchoring at the corner of my mouth, but obviously it can move. But it was far more comfortable.
Well, with low challenge, we can explore anchoring under your chin as well, which is the way the Archery Ireland archers do it.
I prefer it here, though.
That's fine. That's okay.
Why are you trying to ruin things?
No, like I said, I just dabbling with things, opening up cans of worms and then going.
Just leave the worms there and then wander off.
That's grand. Now they can go. I don't know. I'm not putting them back.
No, but I messed around with a few anchor points because I kept changing them.
You didn't mess around. You explored options.
Oh, God. Stop trying to be like a Zen dude, Buddha thing. Okay,
I'm just going to come off the lotus position here because I'm stiff now at the moment.
No, I had messed around with a few different ones, and then I just did that on Saturday because, do you know what? My TikTok thing is suddenly full of archers, and I've been watching them and the way they anchor and all the different forms and everything. Yeah. And then I went in last Saturday, and I did a lot better last Saturday than I had the Saturday before when I shit the bed, basically, and just went, you know what? Not today, and Satan, thank you very much, and left early. But I did a lot better last Saturday because I genuinely, not that your coaching isn't fabulous, obviously it is, but I was just literally watching all these people going, okay, they do that, and that's that, and that's that. So I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Even they're all compounds, but whatever.
Yeah. The principles are all the same.
Yeah.
And look, it's a continuous learning process. And the more you do it, the more muscle memory kicks in as well. You're not so much consciously focus on each of the steps. They become more instinctive. And what that allows you then to focus on one thing, because everything else is becoming instinctive, you might say, I'm going to work on my follow through. I'm going to work on my grip. I'm going to work on my release.
Yeah.
Because everything else is falling into place.
Yeah.
But to be fair to beginners, the reason things are a bit haphazard because they're juggling.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on.
Well,
and that's what you notice, people getting frustrated with that very quickly because they're not used to juggling so many things mentally and then executing it in the form of a shot. They've never done that before.
But there is that preconception of what archery is, which is you pick up this, you point that, and you shoot that.
That's it. And then people come in, what do you mean different size bows, different poundage bows, different stiffness arrows? It's a bow. That's an arrow. What more is there to it? There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And there's the bow, or even it's you as an archer. There's a whole bunch of stuff to it. And the trick is just to embrace that and enjoy it as part of the learning curve and as part of the skill you're acquiring. Because really, if it was just a bow and an arrow, there'd be no archers. It could be just flipping boring. Yeah. Did I get preachy there?
You?
Yeah.
Never.
Felt a bit preachy.
Never.
There.
God, that's an awful thing to say about yourself. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it at that then.
I think so. Yeah. Happy days.
Okay. So goodbye until the next episode then.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you all for joining us, and hopefully you'll join us again next week. Until then, take care, stay in by the wall, and mind the arrows.